Hi everyone, welcome to a new AWL. This time we're deep diving into buyer intent. With buyer intent, you can capture two types of signals. First party signal, which is all the behavior that your visitors have inside your website, and third party signals, which is all the research activity that happens outside of your website. Buyer intent tool inside HubSpot combines both of those signals, first party and third party, into a unified view inside your CRM. With Buyer Intent, you can identify companies that visit your website. You can filter them down into your targeted audiences, as well look into the research topics, and if some of those research topics are similar to what you're selling, and you can as well track specific signals from those companies. All of this data is usable to trigger some automations to make your sales team more effective. Before getting started, it's good to do some homework first. So in terms of the technical prerequisites, you need to have a pro or enterprise license, and you have to have admin permissions as well. Then before setting it up in the system, you need to think about your ideal customer profile. You have to have that very clear and aligned within your team before setting it up. Then you have to define your intent signals. What kind of pages on your website do you find more important in the customer journey, and does that really reflect, and which ones really reflect an intent to purchase? Also, what kind of research topics and keywords are more important within your business and within your offering that you want to track that you think might lead people to your website? After having all that and aligned with all your team, you are ready to set that up in HubSpot. So let me show you step by step how to do it. Alright, so here we are in the configuration page. By the way, buyer intent sits in the marketing navigation. And in the configuration, you have several things you need to set up. First of all, the targeted audiences. So for that, you will click Manage Markets, and it will take you to the markets page where you can create a new market. Basically, a new market would be your ICP. You will name your market and then add industries, company keywords, employee range, country, state, city, web technologies, and revenue as the criteria to define your ICP. You just click Add, and then you will have always a drop down to help you select all the values. You will set up the visitor intent criteria. You give that a name, and then you specifically choose the page path you want to track. You can choose among all the domains, and then here you would just write the specific slug of that page. You can define the number of visitors needed to track this as a signal, as well as the time period. You can, let's say, I want to see all visitors within this week or last week or within this month. And then you can also specify some countries. You can always add an extra path to track multiple pages. You can as well exclude paths and website activity that you don't want to show in the buyer intent. Next, research intent topics. So basically here you will find companies that are researching for topics which are relevant to your business. You can choose up to 20 topics, and you can search them here, or you can as well collect them from your company domain. You'll always see how many companies are researching this specific topic, and so you can see if those are relevant to track or not. Further down, you have buyer intent action limits. I strongly recommend to define specific limits so that you make sure to not go over the credit limits and you're not running out of credits. You can set that up for the net new company adding, and as well for the intent signal tracking. And you can also configure an email digest for a daily, weekly, or monthly email notification with all the companies that you are currently tracking. You can as well add specific companies from being tracked. And finally, make sure you always have your HubSpot tracking code enabled. In the settings, there are two types of automations that you can enable right away. First is adding net new companies to your CRM. Every time there's a new company visiting your website, you add that company record directly in your CRM automatically. I do not always recommend doing that because it might be that you end up with a bunch of company records without any associated contacts. And with a company record, you cannot really do much. So there's always some manual work to be done to actually go out there and look for contacts that you can associate with that company. Unless you have someone dedicated to do that job, I wouldn't be auto adding companies left and right. The other automation you can set up is the intent signals. There are multiple signals that you can track within a company. Besides that, you can also automate tracking every time a company becomes a targeted account, or when a company enters a specific lifecycle stage, or when it enters a chosen segment. You can also do the same and stop tracking when a company enters a chosen lifecycle stage or exits a specific segment. When everything is set up under visitors, you will have filters, and in those filters will basically define what you want to track. So you can set a time frame, a specific intent criteria, a traffic source, a country, specific page views, specific target markets, segments, if the companies are in your CRM or not, lifecycle stage, deal stage, and owner. Based on those filters, you create a view, and then you can automate and specifically track companies that meet the criteria of the view you just set up. Same here for the research topics. For every tracked company, you spend 10 credits. Inside workflows, you can also choose specific triggers related to the buying intent to define certain actions for your sales team. So in the triggers, you can go down to marketing interactions, buyer intents, and then choose buyer intent saved view change. That means that every time there is a change in the saved view and therefore a new company being tracked, you can trigger an action. You can specify the view, and besides that, you can as well track company signals and say every time there's a company which we identify a signal for physical expansion, trigger a certain action. And that's it. It's very simple to set up, but the most important thing is that you define a strategy and you have people allocated to the buying intent tool, making sure that those new companies don't stay without associated contacts, and to define certain workflows and actions to make the best out of the tool. Apart from what I showed here, there's a lot of other tips and tricks that you should be aware of, and that's all included in the ebook that I will leave the link for in the description. Thanks for watching and see you next time.